In this episode, we are going to focus on a reality check that separates plans that succeed from plans that look good on paper, evaluating capability and capacity to execute security strategies in a realistic way. Beginners often assume that once an organization chooses a security strategy, the rest is just effort. But strategy only becomes real when people, processes, and resources can actually deliver it. Capability is about what the organization is able to do competently, such as performing risk assessments consistently, managing identity and access well, responding to incidents effectively, or maintaining secure baselines. Capacity is about how much the organization can do at a given time, such as how many initiatives can be handled, how many changes can be absorbed, and how much attention leadership and teams can devote without breaking normal operations. An organization can have strong capability but low capacity if the right skills exist, but everyone is overloaded. An organization can have available capacity but low capability if time exists but knowledge and processes are weak. Evaluating both matters because unrealistic strategies create burnout, shortcuts, and failure, while realistic strategies create steady progress that leadership can trust. When you learn this skill, you can explain not only what should be done, but what can be done next without pretending the organization has unlimited resources. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is a companion to our course companion books. The first book is about the exam and provides detailed information on how to pass it best. The second book is a Kindle-only ebook that contains 1,000 flashcards that can be used on your mobile device or Kindle. Check them both out at cyber.author.me in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. A practical way to begin is to understand why security strategies fail when capability and capacity are ignored. Many security strategies involve changes across the enterprise, such as adopting new governance, improving control consistency, strengthening monitoring, or raising training maturity. If the strategy assumes teams can absorb major process changes while also delivering their normal work, you create a hidden conflict. People will choose the work they are measured on, and security will be delayed or done poorly. If the strategy assumes skills that do not exist, like advanced analysis or specialized architecture expertise, then execution becomes shallow and dependent on a few overwhelmed individuals. If the strategy assumes tools will fix gaps without changing behavior and process, then the tool becomes shelfware or a partial solution. Beginners sometimes believe failure is caused mainly by lack of motivation, but in most organizations, failure is caused by misalignment between strategy demands and execution reality. When you evaluate capability and capacity honestly, you detect these mismatches early and can adjust the plan before frustration grows. This is not pessimism. It is the discipline of making commitments you can keep. A security program gains credibility by delivering realistic progress rather than promising transformations it cannot sustain. Capability evaluation starts with clarifying what the strategy actually requires the organization to do repeatedly, not just once. For example, if a strategy includes risk-based decision-making, then the organization needs the capability to identify risks consistently, assess them in a structured way, and communicate them in decision-ready language. If a strategy includes improved access control, then the organization needs the capability to manage identities, assign roles, review access, and handle exceptions without chaos. If a strategy includes stronger incident readiness, then the organization needs the capability to detect issues, coordinate response, preserve evidence, and learn from events. Each of these capabilities depends on more than a tool. It depends on skills, processes, ownership, and clear governance. Beginners often focus on the visible piece, like a tool or a document, but the hidden capability is the ability to produce reliable outcomes over time. Reliability is the point, because one-time success does not build resilience. When you evaluate capability, you are asking whether the organization can do the work with consistency, quality, and accountability. One helpful way to evaluate capability is to look at the organization's current behaviors as evidence, because evidence reveals whether a capability exists in practice. If a strategy assumes strong policy enforcement, but current policies are ignored or inconsistently applied, the capability is weak, even if policies exist in a binder. If a strategy assumes strong change discipline, but changes are frequently made without review or documentation, The capability is weak, even if a change process exists on paper. If a strategy assumes rapid incident response, but past incidents involve confusion about roles and slow coordination, the capability is weak, even if an incident plan exists. Evidence can also reveal strengths, such as teams that consistently follow baselines or leaders who respond quickly to risk escalations. Beginners sometimes feel uncomfortable judging capability because it sounds like criticism, but capability evaluation is not about blame. It is about understanding what the organization can reliably do today so you can choose the next steps that will work. If you build a strategy on imaginary capability, you build it on sand. If you build it on observed capability, you build it on concrete. Capacity evaluation is different because it is about limits, and limits exist even in well-run organizations. Capacity includes staffing levels, workload, competing priorities, and the organization's tolerance for change. It also includes leadership attention because many security improvements require decisions, approvals, and sponsorship. If leaders are focused on major organizational changes, they may have less bandwidth for complex security initiatives, even if they support them in principle. Capacity also includes the ability to absorb process changes without causing operational disruption. For example, if teams are already dealing with a large technology migration, adding a heavy new security process might cause confusion and increased errors. Beginners sometimes assume that if something is important, capacity will magically appear, but capacity is not created by importance alone. It is created by trade-offs, such as delaying other work, adding resources, simplifying scope, or phasing implementation. A realistic evaluation identifies where capacity is tight and designs the strategy to fit that reality rather than ignoring it. This helps prevent security from becoming the initiative that everyone quietly postpones. To evaluate capacity realistically, you need to consider how security work competes with normal business work. Teams are usually measured on delivering services, meeting deadlines, and satisfying customers, and security work must fit into that environment. If security asks for large time commitments that are not reflected in planning, teams will treat them as extra work and will do the minimum. A mature security program recognizes that security work is real work that needs time and ownership. That means security strategy should include resourcing assumptions, such as who will do the work, how much time it will require, and what other tasks might be delayed. Beginners sometimes skip this because it feels uncomfortable to discuss trade-offs, but trade-offs exist whether you name them or not. Naming them makes the strategy honest and actionable. It also protects the security team from being blamed for lack of progress when the organization never allocated capacity. Capacity evaluation, done well, is a way of preventing silent failure. Another concept beginners should learn is that capability and capacity can be strengthened, but not instantly, and strategies should include growth plans. If capability is weak, you might invest in training, clearer processes, and mentorship to develop it over time. If capacity is weak, you might phase the strategy, prioritize the highest impact areas, or streamline processes to reduce workload. The key is that strategy should match the current state while building toward a stronger future state. For example, if the organization lacks consistent risk assessment capability, the strategy might begin by standardizing risk language and roles before expecting advanced enterprise risk integration. If the organization lacks incident response coordination, the strategy might begin with role clarity and basic drills rather than expecting complex cross-team orchestration. Beginners sometimes think a strategy must include everything at once to be serious, but seriousness is shown by deliverability, not by ambition alone. Incremental progress can be disciplined and powerful when it is planned, measured, and reinforced. A strategy that grows capability and capacity is more sustainable than one that assumes they already exist. It is also important to consider the organization's change maturity, which is the ability to adopt new processes and keep them. Some organizations can absorb change smoothly because they have strong project management, clear communication, and stable governance. Others struggle because changes are rushed, poorly communicated, and not reinforced. If change maturity is low, security strategies should avoid introducing too many new processes at once, because the organization will revert to old habits. Instead, the strategy should focus on a few foundational changes that improve clarity, such as defining roles, standardizing expectations, and improving decision paths. As these foundations settle, more complex improvements can be added. Beginners often underestimate change fatigue, which happens when people are asked to change repeatedly without seeing benefits. Change fatigue leads to quiet resistance and superficial compliance. A realistic capacity evaluation includes the human factor of change fatigue and designs the strategy to minimize it. That is how you keep security progress from collapsing after the initial push. You should also learn to evaluate capability and capacity across different parts of the organization, because capability and capacity are rarely uniform. One team might be excellent at documentation and controls, while another is struggling with basic consistency. One department might have stable staffing, while another has high turnover. One area might have leadership support, while another lacks sponsorship. A strategy that assumes uniform readiness will create uneven execution and frustration. A stronger approach is to identify where readiness is high and start there, creating early wins and reusable patterns. These wins can then be scaled to areas with lower readiness, with additional support and training. This is not favoritism, it is practical sequencing. It also helps the security program learn what works in the organization's culture before expanding. Beginners sometimes worry that starting small means not taking risks seriously, but starting where you can deliver is how you build credibility and momentum. Momentum increases capacity by improving cooperation and reducing friction. Finally, evaluating capability and capacity is not a one-time step. It is something you revisit as strategies progress and conditions change. Capacity can change when budgets shift, staffing changes, or new priorities emerge. Capability can change as people learn, as processes stabilize, and as new tools are adopted. A realistic security program monitors these shifts and adjusts expectations accordingly. If capacity drops due to an unexpected initiative, the security strategy might need to slow down or narrow scope temporarily. If capability improves, the program might increase expectations and move to more advanced maturity goals. This flexibility is part of realism, because reality does not stay still. Executives and stakeholders support programs that adjust responsibly rather than pretending everything is fine. When security leaders communicate these adjustments clearly, they maintain trust. Trust is essential because it enables long-term investment and cooperation. In conclusion, evaluating capability and capacity to execute security strategies realistically is about matching security ambitions to the organization's actual ability to deliver, then building a path that strengthens that ability over time. Capability reflects the competence and consistency of people, processes, and governance needed to produce secure outcomes, while capacity reflects the time, resources, and organizational bandwidth available to do the work alongside normal operations. Ignoring either one leads to unrealistic plans that create burnout, workarounds, and loss of credibility. Using evidence of current behavior helps assess capability honestly, while examining workloads, priorities, and change fatigue helps assess capacity realistically. A mature strategy respects current limits, prioritizes high-impact work, and phases improvements to grow both capability and capacity without collapsing under strain. When security leaders make these evaluations and adjust plans transparently, security becomes a disciplined program that delivers steady progress, earns trust, and supports organizational goals without relying on wishful thinking.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.